Welcome to the Grand Theft World podcast, hosted by GrandTheftWorld.com. It's October 17th, 2021. This is episode 50. It's called Mass Media Psychosis because it represents the milieu of anti-journalism that's out there, informing people of things that are not true. And we're going to dig into the Joe Rogan, Sanjay Gupta interview, not just the part where Joe cornered Sanjay and says, look, you work for a news network that is knowingly lying. Don't you think that's wrong? And that sort of avoidance of the question and the battle of wits that went on there for 3 hours, which Sanjay said was the longest conversation he had in history. And I think that's sad. And I think it says a lot about where he's coming from and why a comedian could take him to task so many times on the science.
It blows my mind that Joe Rogan just yesterday admitted to taking ivermectin.
Ivermectin is something more often used to deworm horses.
CNN is saying I'm taking horse dewormer.
Rogan telling his 13 million Instagram followers that he was treated with several drugs, and he included ivermectin on the list, a drug used for livestock.
Rogan said the word ivermectin. Yes, that's the deworming medicine made to kill parasites in farm animals.
Why would they lie and say that's horse dewormer?
So things are clearly bad, but they're being made even worse by people who have refused to take the vaccine and instead are swallowing horse paste.
Wait a second. He said that he got better because he ate cattle dewormer.
They must know that that's a lie.
You have individuals like Joe Rogan, for example, who don't want to take an experimental vaccine but will take horse dewormer.
Well. If it isn't old horseworm Rogan.
Ivermectin is often used to deworm livestock.
Ivermectin apparently given to deworm animals.
It's a lie on a news network, and it's a lie that's a lie that they're conscious of. It's not a mistake.
Yeah.
They're unfavorably framing it as veterinary medicine.
Joe Rogan, he came down with COVID. He says he's been taking the livestock dewormer ivermectin.
They lied and said I was taking horse dewormer.
Ivermectin is a drug that is commonly used as a horse dewormer.
They keep saying I'm taking horse dewormer. I literally got it from a doctor.
You know what doctors say? Doctors say you could take it for humans. Yeah, but not for coronavirus.
He may not have gotten it from the feed supply store, but it's the same compound.
When you have a horse deworming medication that's discouraged by the government, that actually causes some people in this crazed environment we're in to actually want to try it. That's the upside down world we're in with figures like Joe Rogan.
Bro, do I have to sue CNN?
He also acknowledged taking a controversial treatment designed for animals.
Does it bother you that the news network you work for out and out lied, just outright lied about me taking horse dewormer?
They shouldn't have said that.
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
We'll also hear from Jimmy Dore. He's also got some commentary, also a comedian. So we're going to be hearing from a lot of comedians tonight because unfortunately in our mass media psychosis society, that's the source for a lot of news. And if people are tuning into one of the mass media networks, that's not news. That's actually toxic information meant to take you away from individual freedom and liberty and get you collectivized into a group of people who don't think for themselves and can be easily capitulated to authorities, subjugated, and controlled. That's not freedom. That's a type of slavery. So for those who want to get away from slavery, it's important to look into the events of each week, see what they're trying to censor, why they're trying to censor, what's being left unsaid, what studies are contradicting these official narratives being put out there as gospel. There's a great part in a Jimmy Dore clip where he plays Fauci versus Fauci, and it's one of the best montages.
People should not be walking around with masks. Let me just state for the record that masks are not theater. Wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and masks are protective, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is.
There has not been any indication that putting a mask on and wearing a mask for a considerable period of time has any deleterious effects.
There are unintended consequences. People keep fiddling with the mask and they keep touching their face.
And can you get some schmutz sort of staying inside there?
Of course.
You do not need to wear a mask indoors if, in fact, you've been vaccinated. Good that you're vaccinated, but in a situation where you have people indoors, particularly crowded, you should wear a mask.
So even if you are vaccinated, you should wear a mask. If in fact you are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, you are protected, and you do not need to wear a mask outdoors or indoors. When the children go out into the community You want them to continue to wear masks.
You know, if you look at children outside, particularly when they're with the family, walking down the street, playing a game or what have you, don't have to wear a mask.
The Academy of Pediatric actually makes that recommendation that children should be wearing masks from 2 years old onward.
And you're asking now, if your child is a member of your household, can you walk outdoors with your child without a mask? According to that chart, the answer is yes.
But the child can't, not to beat it to death.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Okay. Because now the CDC says, I mean, I think I've got this right. 1 mask is better than 0 masks. 2 masks is better than 1 mask. But you don't have to have double masks. Is that right? I mean,
you know, it became clear that cloth coverings that you didn't have to buy in a store, that you could make yourself, were adequate. And then you want it to fit better. So one of the ways you could do it, if you would like to, is put a cloth mask over, which actually here and here and here, where you could get leakage in, is much better contained.
And are you a double masker, Dr. Fauci? It looks like you are.
The playing field is being purposely muddied. They're like putting the sprinklers on to make it something slippery that you can't get good traction in. And in order to have good traction, we have to get back to reality. We have to identify that which exists. We have to define our terms. We have to identify the contradictions. And then from removal of those contradictions, fit together a coherent, cogent narrative of understanding what's going on right now in reality. Because if we don't do that, I feel like freedom is going to continue to be extinguished. And it's got some smoldering embers already around the world. We'll also get into some of the more progressive countries, progressive in the types of slavery and totalitarianism they're willing to carry out openly on their people. So now people are around the world waking up to the fact that freedom of speech is a big deal. Freedom of being able to defend yourself, also a big deal. The First and Second Amendment that have been eroded here in America, all of a sudden might come back into focus. People might realize why America has been different in history and why we can't yet be treated like they treat people in Australia. Hopefully that never comes here, but I do think if you watch the news tonight with us, you're going to see that they do plan on making vaccine passports and all these other things a part of daily life. And just like taking your shoes off at the airport after 9/11, they're going to be doing masks and vaccine boosters to 2050 and beyond, if they have their way. Now, that's the way they get it if we all sit back and do nothing. If we get informed, if we learn to communicate with each other, if we can find the others and unite in small groups under ideologies of non-aggression, informed consent, freedom-based ideologies like a libertarian philosophy, for instance. We'll talk about that a little bit later tonight. These ideas that can bond people together by what unites us, what we have in common, can be much greater than those forces and edicts being used to divide and conquer us. Conspiracy is a story of history. It's the story of plunderers taking care of people who produce. They claim to take care of them through government, which doesn't give you anything. It doesn't take away first. So it's not creating something out of nothing. It's very real what they're doing. They're taking your rights or taking some people's rights and adding more to someone else's rights.
If you haven't heard about our Grand Theft World community membership, here are a few of the things you've been missing. A mobile app where you can access replays of the Grand Theft World podcast and show notes. Access to the Grand Theft World community on Discord, where we crowdsource news and resources, and you can contribute to the show. The opportunity to participate in the Grand Theft World bi-weekly town hall. Exclusive content from Richard Grove, including behind-the-scenes footage and future access to unpublished material. 93 episodes of the Peace Revolution podcast, and the Grand Theft World newsletter delivered straight to your inbox each week. If you want to stay ahead of the great game, visit us at grandtheftworld.com, click or tap the button in the top right-hand corner, and join a vibrant community of researchers blazing a new path to truth. We'll see you there.